Hello, friends. Patrick McFarland here of the Liberty Weekly podcast. Welcome back. This is episode 86 of the show. And yes, the bar exam is finished. It really sucked. And I want to talk a little bit about it today just as I'm kind of coming back. As you can see behind me, these are moving boxes. My bookshelf is empty except for a bobblehead over there. And my wife and I are getting ready to move actually in 2 days. So I finished the bar exam on Wednesday, and now it's Friday, so it's just been go since then. And have I got a crazy story for you guys? But so I wanted to talk about that crazy story. I kind of wanted to sum up like what's been happening since I've been taking a hiatus from the show a little bit here. I think I've kind of broadcasted that hiatus, so I won't really dwell on it, but I've really thought about a lot of things. When I haven't been doing the show, I really thought a lot about like why I'm doing the show in the first place, and so I wanted to reflect on that a little bit. So I'll be doing that in the second half of the show. But first, I wanted to talk about the whole experience of taking the bar exam, and I wasn't prepared for how intense it actually was. I think in my mind, I knew it was going to be intense, but because when you start law school, you're always starting it with the aim of passing the bar, and that's kind of the ultimate goal. And I could say a lot of things about occupational licensure. I don't want to get in too much of hot water with the Wisconsin Bar Association, because I'm joining, and I've applied for it. I've taken their bar exam, so I have those feelings about occupational licensure, obviously. But yeah, so. Let's see. In the meantime, since I've stopped the show, we were thinking about doing the Wild Wild Country series, and I committed to it, but I quickly realized that I should not have committed to it. So I was luckily enough, I have some really good friends in the Libertarian Union, and I was easily able to pass the torch off to some of my really good friends and co-hosts that I have. Everyone who has shows with the Libertarian Union. We had Tony Rockamora jump on, Trey Weaver, and actually a new appearance coming up from very special guests at the Peaceful Treason podcast, whom I had spoken with, and we did one episode together very early on, and the number is not, I can't recall it right now, but they've been continuing on with their podcast, and they've been doing really well. So I think they're going to hook up with Daniel and Robert to do the next episode of Wild Wild Country. I think that'll be part 4, and part 4 will be episode number libertyweekly.net/87. This will be 86, and the last one was 85 with Tony Rockamora. Likewise, 84 was with Trey Weaver. So that was a really good kind of foray to do the Wild Wild Country series. I think we're also going to have a very special guest on for the last installment of it, and that'll be really cool. I was glad that we were able to do that. It's been getting good reception and good numbers, so I hope you guys have enjoyed that series. Let's see here. I have a very special announcement coming up within the next 2 or 3 weeks of a big fish that I'm going to be doing a show with, hopefully. Someone who really inspired me to start this show myself, and I think it'll be really interesting and entertaining for you guys to see that. So there's a whole bunch of people that I want to connect with, and a whole bunch of people I want to bring on the show, and I kept telling everyone like, oh, wait till the first 2 weeks of August, and I'll have some spare time to do this. But no, I don't even know when I'm gonna have internet at our new house that we're moving into. So I'm going to try and get that set up, but already there's so many things to do. I mean, we got to put in new carpets. I have to help my dad put new shingles on the garage, and there's a bunch of landscaping I have to do. So and the events of the last week have created a lot of work as well. So let me get into that story. So we drove down to Madison on, I think it was it Monday? Yeah, it was Monday. My wife is here. She's getting ready for an interview for a promotion. So there's so much going on. Like, before we're moving, she's interviewing for this job, and we have to say goodbye to all of our friends, and we have to, it's just really tiring. Like, just the mental drain of the bar. And from all the adrenaline, and I think I was running on adrenaline for the last 2 weeks, and just pure, all the emotional like turmoil and everything, all the trappings of that. I've heard that this is what it feels like to have your first child from some of my friends in the group, that it's just such a tiring kind of thing, the life event thing. So like I was saying, on Monday night we went down. I really crammed really hard for the last, I don't know, for the last 3 weeks. I was waking up, going to the library, and then coming home, and then like spending a few hours with my wife, and then going to bed, and then waking up and going to the library and back, and over again. And at some point, you like, your head just hits a wall, and you can't absorb any more information. So I was practicing the essays, I was doing the multiple choice, going through the answers just over and over, and I had a bar tutor, and we talked about my legal writing skills, and it's very formulaic, the IRAC format: issue, rule, analysis, conclusion. And so I was just hitting that really hard, and you never feel like you're prepared. And in fact, you know, everyone kept telling me, oh, you're smart, or whatever. I have no faith, or I have I have a lot of faith in you and no doubts about your ability. But I'm just like, me and all my friends that were taking the bar and hearing that from people, because they would be reassured in the same manner. And it's like, no guys, you don't, it's not about being intelligent. It's about cramming information into your head. It's about rote memorization and kind of understanding the concepts at play, which when you break them down, they're not super difficult. It's just the numerosity is a lot. And so we went down there on Monday night. There was a mandatory orientation. The first day was the essay exam, and I felt like I did really well on it. But I'm trying to be guarded a little bit. So I felt like I did really good. Then you kind of start to think about the fact patterns, and if you discuss it with other people, you game the exam in your head, and then I should have said that, or shit, I didn't get that one issue right, or I didn't recall that rule. But I think there were 8 essays, and I thought there was going to be 2 MPTs and 6 essays, which the MPT is like the multi-state practice test, where they give you a library of case law, and they give you a fact pattern, and they give you an assigning memo, which from your senior partner, which could be like write a contract, or write a motion to dismiss, or write a motion to compel discovery, or based on these facts. And so you get an hour and a half, and you have to read all the law and read the fact pattern, and then come up with this brief in an hour and a half. So I thought we were going to get 2 of those, but we didn't get any of those, and instead we got 8 essay questions. And I can't talk too much about what exactly was tested, because I signed a non-disclosure agreement. But let's just say one of the essays was right in my wheelhouse, and it was on something that I've done an episode of the show on before. And it might be something that Michael Bolden would work on a little bit. And I was so surprised to get a question like that, because it's never tested on the bar exam. So I was trying to take this as a sign of providence, that I was going to pass, because you go in and you walk out and you're like, well, that could have gone any sort of ways. So I was feeling good about the essay portion. This was on Tuesday. I came back to the hotel feeling pretty good, like, okay, maybe this was going to end up okay. The 24th also happened to be my wife and my second anniversary. So, what? Our wedding, did I say anniversary? Yeah, our wedding anniversary.
It's not just like, oh, this is when we started dating. It's like, this is serious.
Oh, no. Yeah, okay. I don't know if you heard what she's saying. She said, oh, it's not like this is when we started dating. It's like, this is serious business. This was our wedding anniversary, right? So we had a gift certificate to the Cheesecake Factory. And the Cheesecake Factory was like right across this like busy kind of mall area. And I was driving her car. It's her dad's car. My wife's car. It's her dad's car. And I came out to the intersection, and it was a 4-lane road. 2 lanes going this way, 2 lanes going this way, with shops on either side. And I was waiting there and waiting to make a left-hand turn, and it was so busy. I was like, well, fuck, I'm gonna either I'm going to be sitting here forever waiting for an opening, or I'm gonna get into an accident trying to cross this road. So I'm trying to get over here. Make sure my hands are on screen. I'm trying to get over here, making a left-hand turn across 2 lanes onto another 4-way. But instead I turned right so I could try and make an easier left-hand turn without any traffic. And as we were going, the traffic heading this way got stopped, and there was like a gap in the cars. And so this guy was waving me through. And so I went out to turn left, and like as we were turning left, you guys can probably see where this is going. We had just about made it into the parking lot, and all of a sudden, out of fucking nowhere, this car comes, driven by this old man, and just hits us in the rear wheel, in the rear passenger side wheel, and the car goes spinning. And I was like, all I can remember thinking is like, oh, there's a car there. Oh, we're gonna be okay. It's fine. Oh, fuck, he hit us. And like, shit, now what are we gonna do? We're stranded in Madison. I have no car. How am I gonna get to the bar exam tomorrow? It's our anniversary. So that was awful. That was a terrible experience. The car was totaled. Thankfully, we were both okay. I think my wife hit her head a little bit, but she was all right, just kind of disoriented. And it was an old man that hit us with his wife and their son. And the son seemed pretty apologetic. Like he thought I don't want to dwell on this too much, but like he thought that it was his dad's fault and that his dad wasn't paying attention, or that his dad should have hit the brakes sooner. Because, you know, the whole line of cars was stopped. And, you know, there was this gap there, and it was like this old man was going like 40 miles an hour beside all this row of stopped cars. And he should have, you know, been more careful, and there was a gap there. So I don't want to say too much more about it. I think it was about fault. I don't want to say too much about fault because I really don't know. But so everything turned out to be okay. It was a real hassle. I ended up getting to the exam the next day. We ended up still going to the Cheesecake Factory, and I had a couple beers. But it turned out to be, despite that, a decent anniversary, and I think I'm stronger because of it, and we're stronger because of it, and thank God nothing worse happened. And I was able to get there the next day. I took a Lyft. So yay, free market, rah rah. But so then I got there, and the second day was 200 multiple choice questions broken up into 2 3-hour sessions. And I was blindsided by how difficult these questions were, and the amount of time that we had to do it, and just from what had happened the night before, it was just very overwhelming. And I didn't finish the last 5 questions, so I like quick filled them in at the end, just filled in the dots. And it was kind of because the whole time, like the bar prep, my bar prep tutor was saying, you know, Kaplan Bar Review, it's a private bar review service. Kaplan makes the multiple choice questions hard. They make them at a 5 on the difficulty scale. So when you practice, you're practicing the really, really hard questions. So when you get to the bar exam questions are actually easier. And so your adjusted score should be higher, right? Well, no, they were awful. The multiple choice questions were awful on the first, and I was just on the first session, the early day session, and I was so blindsided by how hard and difficult these freaking questions were, man. And I couldn't eat my lunch because I just had this sick feeling in my stomach. And so the second session, I kind of knew what was coming. I felt like they were a little bit easier, and like I did a little better. But, you know, at this time, I had a friend who didn't pass the bar exam, and she said it was because she did good on the essay, but the multiple choice, she didn't score as high as she needed to. She was like 9 points off. So you walk out of there and you're like, well, that could I have no idea how that went. And that doesn't help at all for, you know, the nerves, because you want to pass. And I was speaking to some of my friends who had some of my really smart friends who had done really, really good in school, who also took the Wisconsin bar, and they were like, that was awful, that was terrible, those questions were nothing like the Kaplan ones. And So we were at the end. You're feeling really zonked because the exam is really super serious. They're very hardcore about, you can't have anything in the room with you, and there's all these procedures they go through, and it was a really intense, weird kind of experience, especially with the car accident, and dealing with all of the insurance, and my dad had to come down and pick us up with my mom, and we went to the auto body shop and we tried to figure that out. But the car is totaled, but it's fixable because they only hit the rear wheel and it bent the control rod on the control rod on the tire. It was just bent in, and I don't think anything was seriously damaged, so my dad and I can fix the car. So that's all fine, and like I said, thank God it wasn't any worse. But so now the exam is finished, and it's like this coming down process, and I'm just mentally drained. I have like mental fog, and I'm just zoning out, thinking about nothing, which is weird. But the work doesn't end. We're packing everything up. We came home, putting everything in boxes. Now we have to see all of our friends before we leave town, and so that's kind of sad. But it is what it is. Life goes on, and I'm trying to be proud of the fact that I made it through this experience, and it's kind of strange being so open about it, because I've had a lot of people contact me in the interim, since I've taken kind of a break from the show. And this kind of leads into the next topic that I wanted to talk about, which is why I'm doing the show, and kind of reflecting on that fact. But I've had people contact me and be like, "Oh, you're so open about your life," and well, because I see the show kind of as my own diary, like a video diary, where I document my journey in liberty and libertarianism, and my journey in self-education, and at the same time trying to spread the message of liberty. And I kind of have this thing that, like, in 5-10 years I'll kind of look back at this time in my life, because I'm not a picture taker. I've never have been. But if I have this, I can kind of look back, and I even already looking back and listening to the episodes from a year ago when I started with Jerry, just seeing how my thoughts have changed, and seeing my mic presence change and all those things. It's just, I guess, kind of self-involved and interesting for me, and because of the fact that I don't imagine that anyone listens to this show. Because like I said, when I'm sitting here speaking into a mic, I'm just in a room by myself, and my wife is listening to me. But so yeah, when you drop that media file off and you upload it, for me, in my imagination, that's when it stops, and no one will see it or listen to it. And so it's kind of weird when people talk to me about it, or I don't think too much about talking about these personal things. But I do keep some things to myself that I don't share with the show. But so it's very, I think, discovering these ideas and becoming a libertarian and a voluntarist was pretty isolating in some ways. And when I started out, I really wanted an outlet to share these ideas and engage with these ideas, and to meet people who thought the same way. And for those purposes, it's been really great. And I've grown a lot as a person. I've grown a lot, making lifelong friends. And I talk about these topics on the show from time to time as well, but there really is something to be said about it. But at the same time, it's also hard to be interacting in the community, because I don't know if this is unique to libertarianism, and I don't really think it is, but it's been hard in the last 2 weeks not to comment on things that have been going on, just because the production process would really distract me, and being in this headspace would really distract me from studying. And I said, if I didn't give it my all, then if I failed, I'd look back at it and regret that I didn't do it. And I don't think I'll fail, but we'll see. I kind of regret the fact that I've been broadcasting things about the bar, because, oh shit, what if I do fail now? Now the whole internet's gonna know, and like my whole following is gonna know. All 6 of you. No, there's a little more than that, but I don't know. I'm not ashamed of myself, and if I don't pass, I think I will the second time. But I really, I got a good feeling, with everything happening, and I'm just kind of tired of thinking about the bar and talking about it. But with everything happening, I think there were signs that this is going to be okay. It'll be fine. You'll pass and all that. So yeah, the bar is just exhausting. But as I was saying about watching what's been happening in the community and the whole thing, and I don't really want to dwell on this too much, but the whole thing with the Mises Caucus and kind of this revival of the Ron Paul moment, it's been pretty exciting. Even though I'm not an LP libertarian, I don't particularly care for the LP. I don't think that politics is the way to do this per se. I think that there is a case to be made. I do support Mance Raider, and I do support Dave Smith and Tom Woods joining the LP. I think there's a case to be made that, none of us would have heard of this if it wasn't for Ron Paul. And that's how I came into the movement. That's how practically everyone I know, except for maybe like 3 or 4 people. So I think if there is a place for the LP, the only place for me is using it to spread the message to receptive ears, because normal people look towards politics when it comes to learning about things and being exposed to ideas, political ideas. They come in some cases with open ears. And for me, it's actually kind of it's a bummer that the libertarian candidates actually have a chance of being elected, and that some of them could be elected. Because for me, in my opinion, the only purpose of the LP is to communicate the ideas. It's not to make policy. And I think if the candidates do get elected, well, A, that'd be surprising, and B, it's kind of like, what now? I mean, I'd rather have a Libertarian Party candidate in office than any other candidate. And it'd be, it's better off that they're there. When it comes to principles, I'm still kind of developing those thoughts. I haven't really made up my mind. I think Andrew Kern, with the Principled Libertarian, has a good point that, ANCAPism is a political philosophy. It's not necessarily a way of life. And I think that's a pretty good analysis of it. I don't want to get into that either, because I haven't fully developed my thoughts on, the principle. I don't think that joining the LP makes you not an anarchist. Rothbard was active in the LP. I think that, there's a lot of people that are involved with the Mises Institute that are also active in politics. I can think of Connor Boyack at the Libertas Institute in Utah. He's doing really great things down there. And so I don't think that you go back on your principles or that you're a hypocrite if you join the LP. I really don't. I can't think of really good reasons right now, just because I'm just mentally drained out. But and this kind of also led into the other topic that I wanted to tackle, which is the divisiveness that this caused in the division. I just thought of what I was going to say. If you are an anarchist, I think you are an anarchist if your ultimate goal is to get rid of the monopoly on force, the legal any entity, any state. If your ultimate goal is to get rid of it, obviously you can't violate the non-aggression principle. And I've heard some arguments, from the other side saying that even being a member of any political organization violates the NAP. I don't necessarily think so. I don't think that voting necessarily violates the NAP either. And I've had episodes on this. I think I got into it with DT Luna in one of the episodes, and I'm not recalling the episode number right now. But I think voting is futile, but at the same time, I don't think it violates the non-aggression principle, because the way I frame it is that if something violates the non-aggression principle, then you would be moral in using violence to prevent it. And I don't think that it'd be moral to use violence to prevent, Joe Blow on the street from voting. Plus, you can't say that voting makes no difference, but also hold voters responsible for bombing the Middle East. So those are just some arguments that I have, and I'd be fine to get into it with anyone, but respectfully so. And this is what I want to get at, is the division that this causes, because now you have, voluntarists and agorists that are just shitting all over people, Misesian, the Mises Caucus guys. And I really don't understand that. Are we brothers or not? Are we in this together? Are we going to cleave the movement in half because of tactical? And I really don't think they're violating principles. We're going to cleave this movement in half. And I really I respect Michael Heiss when he talks about the Mises Caucus and talking about the Ron Paul Revolution. When it was happening in '08, there weren't these divisions between, oh, I'm an anarcho-transhumanist, or, I'm an anarcho whatever. All these isms kind of developed after Ron Paul was screwed over and rejected by the Republican Party, and the whole thing was killed in a certain way because it failed to live up to that momentum that was underlining it. And then people started to get divisive after that, and they started to get frustrated and despondent. We're always just trying to carry the torch, and I don't think that this division is helpful. Likewise, I wanted to comment on a video that I saw by Stefan Molyneux talking about the reasons why people make content and the real reason why you should make content. And he was talking about trolls as well, and people who will get on social media and shit all over you for holding this opinion, like holding the opinion of they do this for open borders versus closed borders, and they do it for this, embracing the LP, which I haven't, but spoiler alert, I am trying to help organize an LP chapter for Wisconsin, the Mises Caucus chapter in Wisconsin, because I think that the Mises Caucus does need to prevent Bill Weld from being the front-runner candidate. If if Bill Weld becomes the candidate and the Libertarian Party gets debate access, this could be like a fatal stab in the heart for the LP and for libertarianism in general. We're going to put Bill Weld, an Iraq war apologist, up there. That's unacceptable, in my opinion. And if the only role of the LP is to get access to that debate stage and expose people to these ideas, I'm for that. And I'll assist them. I don't know about getting LP membership or voting or endorsing candidates. I'm not sure about that. But these are just preliminary ideas. And like it or hate it, I'm here. I have my show. I'm in the arena, and I'm debating, And that's what Stefan Molyneux's take was about content creation. Why are you doing this? I'm not doing this for my own ego. I'm up here because I care about these ideas, and I care about, making friends and making connections and positive connections. And he said, when you make content and when you get drained and when you get offended about trolls, or when you get upset about people calling you out and being upset with you, and when you get really afraid about what to say, and when all you want to do is please your audience, well, then you're doing this for the wrong reasons. You're doing it for your own ego's sake, and you're not doing it because you care about, liberty or your own ideas. And that's an unhealthy reason for doing a show like this. And I've really thought about that a lot as I've kind of taken a step back from the show. And the step back has been pretty refreshing. Not gonna lie, and I kind of remembered why I want to do this, and it's been kind of hard to watch all my friends come out with content and I'm not a part of it, and it's like, oh, you guys are having all the fun without me. But it is good to take the step back to get a breath of fresh air. And I got stuff going on in my life. At some point, you got to affect change in your own life, and I don't think the right way to do that is by shit posting on the internet. Some people have done really well with it, but getting into debates with people on Facebook and calling each other out, and even especially within our own community, is not productive. It's not at all. And what I'm trying to do is, with this content, is be out there and spread the ideas in a real manner instead of just lurking, and doing things in my personal and professional life that is a sphere that I don't know how that's going to interact with this show, but that is a sphere I'm going to take on, I think, as my career develops, and I'm excited for that. There's a lot of changes happening right now, like I said, especially with moving. So I think I've said mostly all there is to say about that. So excuse me, I am a bit saddened by this division in the libertarian community. I don't think that division's too big. I think, Mance Raider and Dave Smith and Tom Woods kind of announced that they're joining the LP, and most libertarians were like, all right, this is the Ron Paul revolution, most ANCAPs. And there was maybe like a very, very vocal minority of people who were calling everyone out. And I guess some of them would acknowledge this, but a lot of these very small vocal minorities are people who have not been ANCAPs for very long, and they're calling these giants of the movement, who have been libertarians for like 20, 30 years, and, they were libertarians when all the libertarians could fit in one small room, all the libertarians in the world. And I just don't think you can't, to say that someone like, if you were saying that it's against ANCAP or the non-aggression principle for libertarians to be involved in the LP, then I guess Rothbard isn't an anarchist. I guess all these people who are heads of anarchism are not anarchists. Then it just doesn't really make too much sense to me. But I'm sure that's something that we'll talk about and explore in the show in the future. And I'm just very thankful that everyone has been listening to me. My downloads have kind of kept up over the interim, especially with the Wild Wild Country episodes. And actually, I've gained an audience. I have about, on average, 100 or 150 more downloads per episode. And that's kind of grown as I've been on hiatus a bit here. So I'm very grateful for that. I'm very grateful that everyone who would listen to me. I've had a lot of kind words from a lot of people contacting me, wishing me luck. Thank you guys. I really appreciate it. And, that's why I'm doing this too. So thanks for those kind words. In parting here, let's see if I can, here we go. You know where to find the Liberty Weekly podcast. That's at libertyweekly.net. This one is episode, I think I said 86. So libertyweekly.net/86. You also know how to support the show. That's at patreon.com/libertyweekly. Patreon supporters have been getting access to the Wild Wild Country extras, so you can hear Daniel and Robert and the guest hosts BS and stuff after the show. There's some pre-show content there, and there's even like the full video version for you patrons. So thank you so much to all my patrons. I just had my yearly subscription renew in July, and that was about $115 for another year of the website. So that's where that money is going. I thank you guys so much for that. It's also going to my Libsyn hosting costs, which is about, I think, $20 a month, 20 or 25. And so that does add up over the years, over the months. And so that's where that money goes. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. It also goes to books. So please do consider joining at patreon.com/libertyweekly. By this time, you guys are all aware of the benefits. You get the meme cache, you get the Rothbard repository, which I think is still up. But let's see, anything else? Yeah, that's about it, guys. So I don't think that I'll be back since we're moving this weekend, and we're moving out on Sunday. We're closing on the new house on Tuesday, and if I am back, it won't be before like Thursday or Friday or Saturday or Sunday or something like that. But I will be releasing that Wild Wild Country episode with Tony Rockamora. That's already on my YouTube channel page, and it's been up, but I haven't shot that into the podcast audio feed yet. So I'll be releasing that audio with this audio, probably at the same time. And so look forward to the episode with the guys from Peaceful Treason and Daniel and Robert from the Actual Anarchy podcast doing part 4 of Wild Wild Country. So thank you guys so much. Peace out.